Mom, there's something wrong with Nana and Pop-Pop.
They're just old.
You're just cleaning it.
I do want to say this was a really fun film, so I'm just going to ask you some questions about the script as well.
Yeah.
How did you come up with it? Because there's a great authentic voice, it's super scary as well, but it also is incredibly funny. How do you get that mix, and where did the ideas come from?
You know, the movies that, for me, that I've done that represent me the most are the ones that I cherish the most. So right off the bat, I can tell you, like, if the house was burning down and you could only grab 3 movies of all the movies that I made, I know the 3 movies just by gut. If I start thinking about it, I would think about other movies, but on gut, I would grab Unbreakable, I would grab Lady in the Water, and I grab The Visit. And they are the ones that are the most unusual. They have the quirkiness that represent me, and I think that that's the power of an artist, is to, the more specific they can be about who they are, the more salient the voice is, and the more powerful the art is.
And there's definitely a bit of yourself in there, so you're a rapper?
You know, I find it funny, and the whole world of rapping and all that stuff. So I enjoyed writing that character that is a kid that thinks he's an aspiring rapper, but the girl is an aspiring filmmaker, and so I got to put all of that in there too.
And it's an interesting choice to film it in that manner, where she kind of curated the film for us. It was very much so from her perspective. So it gives you a sense of her character. And I think as well with this film, you really managed to bring a depth to all of the characters, even the little side characters. How do you kind of pull that out of your characters?
Well, because I write the pieces, and I think I tack towards theater writing more than film writing, or some hybrid of theater and film. I think dialogue is critical. That a minimalistic dialogue is critical to create, understanding of the character. Then, as a director, being able to analyze what I wrote and being able to convey that to the actor, that's so exciting to me. I tend to use theater-trained actors because of this, because we're talking from this is why the character didn't ask, "How are you?" when they walked in. I have a whole explanation about that to the character, to the actor. And so I tend to do long takes as well, which for me lets you stay in the world more, and it becomes stickier and more resonant.
And would they be a lot of improv? If you do you let them riff a little bit, or would it be very stick to the script when you're working?
I'm open to riffing and all of that stuff, but we do word for word what's in the screenplay, ultimately, because there's so much to talk about. Before you start becoming the writer, I go, well, this was my intention. I load them up with so much homework as a director that they basically are overwhelmed, so they don't really think about, hey, how about if I add this line or that line? We talk through everything very carefully. Now, in this movie, I would come up with ideas for them to try, like, hey, you want to try this, you want to try that, and we'd shoot it on The Visit, which was slightly unusual for me, and a handful of those made it into the movie.
And I definitely thought there's something very authentic and fun about the different voices. You have the grandparent, and then you have the kids, but they're very distinctive. How do you kind of get dialogue that authentic?
When you're writing, you can tell a less experienced writer, because all the characters sound like the writer. So it doesn't matter their ages, genders, where they're coming from, they all have the same kind of lilt, the same kind of rhythm to their writing. So and to some extent you can get away with that as the world, right? The world of, this is the world these characters sit in. But actually, the next step in writing is to just look at it from each character and just concentrate, just read the script just from each character and make them salient and push away from the others.
And editing that, I heard that it was like a long process.
Yes.
The shoot was quite fast.
Yes.
But the editing how did you manage to get that with the comedy and the horror and mix them together?
The editing, basically, because it's a small movie, I had just me, my editor, and the editor's assistant, and we spent a long time. It was like 10 months editing the movie, and you would think, what? It's a small movie. How could you have edited it that long, especially on computers? But the subtlety involved with when to cut, when to do a joke versus when to be scared. What is the proper balance of this? And is it was very difficult for me to see, and it was so delicate. Every time we did one move, it caused a repercussion. In the old days, by the way, you used to edit for a year before computers. That's when you learn the movie. That's when you really mastered the language of the movie. And now, because of computers and release dates, you get done so quickly.
But listen, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That was fantastic. We hope it does very well, and thank you for me.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Take care.
What is in the shed? Nana? Are you down here?
Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it?
Stop! Nana, stop!
And cut.
Cutting.
We got it.
All right. Check it.